Hi, welcome back to the revolution and welcome to October. There's a wasp in here. Okay, we'll deal with it if it comes closer. Hi, welcome to October. Okay, so let's get into just all the activity. Okay, if you haven't gotten your reading yet, it's because I am waiting for this solar eclipse because, yeah, it'll all make sense. So first of all, I'm just going to give you a bunch of dates and then we'll go from there. On the 2nd of October, we have a solar eclipse. Great. On the 11th of October, we have Pluto go direct in Capricorn. On the 8th of October, Jupiter will go retrograde in Gemini. We're gonna go through and talk about each of these in your videos as it applies to your sign. On the 13th of October, Mercury will move from Libra to Scorpio. On the 17th, Venus enters Sagittarius. And the Sun is in Libra until the 23rd, and then it moves into Scorpio. Now, behind all of this, while this is going on, in and of itself, it's a lot, right? While this is happening, you have Mars sitting there in Cancer, turning this tide into lava. Anything that aspects it in any way just starts to bubble with pure life energy that is directed now by a very strong will. Cancerian energy is very willful, very strong. You add Mars to it, and it's as quiet as it is strong. So you have this silent powerhouse waiting for anything to deflect light off of it so it can supercharge that thing. So all the transits that I just mentioned, they're wonderful, okay? But most of them are in cardinal signs or in water signs. So constantly you have this Mars and Cancer aspect affecting each of these transits in very explosive, really strong ways, but very positive. So let's talk a little bit about this Mars and Cancer transit because it will be the thing, like I said, that affects everything else. So it's a period that you're revisiting things that you should have followed through on, and you're being asked if you have the energy to follow through on them and if you have the grace to forgive yourself for putting that thing down when you should have kept it and you should have kept working on it. A lot of times when we know something has a lot of potential and for whatever reason we have to put it down, the guilt associating with having gone against what we wanted and what we just inherently know feeds us, the shame associated with it is very personal, it's very private, and it's very powerful, and it will keep you from going back to that thing because the person that we want to explain ourselves to the least is us. And there is a conversation that has to be had. You know, when you haven't gotten on the yoga mat for a while, there's that conversation that happens the first time you get back on and you stretch and you think, why haven't I been doing this every day? Or when you sit down and start writing again, when you set up your easel and start painting again, when you start listening to music again. You know, I remember being really heartbroken like 10 years ago, and I couldn't stomach listening to music. It was like I would just start bleeding all over the place, you know? So wherever you are in relation to the thing that you put down, you get a chance now to revisit it twice in October and really think about if you want to do it, if it's still important, if you have the energy. And when you're talking about this thing, you know, what you must realize is that you're talking about yourself. This is about you. That thing represents you. And how much thought and how much care are you going to give to you? Are you going to think this out? Are you going to plan it properly? Are you going to execute? Do you care enough about yourself to do that? Mars in Cancer is aggressive in its wondering, in its examination of how much you really care. It is a time where everything is indicative of how you really feel. And so, if you can allow yourself the gift of picking that thing back up, which is you, Mars in Cancer will give you the energy as it aspects all these different, happenings. It will give you the energy you need to succeed, to be happy, to create something magical if you want, to get back on track, if that's what it means. But it's very strong. So if you feel the past few weeks have been heavy, in a way that's, it's subdued, it's heavy, but it's really subdued. You don't know where the pressure is coming from. The pressure seems so diffused all around you, but you feel the weight of it, but it's not one thing. And now in October, everything starts to crystallize and take form. And so, yes, there is a pressure. Yes, there is a regret. Yes, there is a sadness, but what is it about? What's happened? What have I done? What haven't I done? What did I abandon, therefore abandoning myself? This is the conversation. It happens again and again, at least twice in a big way. And you get to decide the answers. Do you have the energy? Maybe you don't. It's good to be honest with yourself so you can put it away if you need to. It's good to be honest with yourself and pursue it if you know it'll make you happy, especially if you haven't been happy. That's the subtext here. If you haven't been happy, perhaps this is why. Okay, so the personal development aspect of October is very strong, but it does require you to revise your strategy a little bit. So it's not just about you abandon something, you're procrastinating on something. It has to do with a more holistic view of the way you do things. Things have to be more thought out, and they have to be thought out with the proper intentionality, which Mars in Cancer is trying to rework you a little bit so that your priorities line up with what is best for your security and safety and the security and safety of your loved ones. May not be very sexy, may not be very exciting, but it's extremely prosperous and it's safe, So Mars in Cancer will do its part to further your personal development by molding your priorities to be more in line with these goals. Oh. Hey, Baba? There's a wasp in here. Huh? I'm filming. There's a wasp. Do you see it? Mercury in Cancer. Venus in Cancer. Okay. Where were we? So yes, security, safety, family. It's all playing out because everything is synchronistic. I have something so important to tell you, and I was going to tell you in the podcast, but I'm so adamant that the podcast not be my face, that it should just be my voice, but I have to tell you this. This is a Care Bears bandage. Anyway, you know what I realized? All we're doing here is creating a series of synchronicities using the light of our consciousness. You ever have like a bad day, you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, you have a bad day, and then things get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and everywhere you go, people are just being assholes, and the line is too long, and the thing is sold out before you get to all the fucking bullshit. We're too close to Germany for this to be allowed. You're not supposed to recycle on Sundays, right? Isn't that like a German thing, or is it a Swiss thing? I think it's a Dutch thing as well. Anyway, it doesn't matter. In the same way, so there is a lot of proof now coming out of research in neuroscience that proves that if you can hold a thought backed by an emotion for 17 seconds, that other energy that is similar to that energy will come and start to cluster around it. I think it takes about 17 seconds of focused consciousness or focused light, concentrated light, to create a series of synchronicities. And if you keep focusing your consciousness on those synchronicities, it can create an endless string of synchronicities. Also, about the consciousness and light thing, this is why if you look at someone when they're sleeping, they'll wake up. Because it's like shining a magnifying glass with like the sun at them. You know what I mean, right? That wasp situation, it got my adrenaline up, and when my adrenaline's up, I'm a little bit, my ADHD goes crazy. It's okay. So, like when you have a bad day and it gets worse, when you're having a great day, you know, you wake up, you're having a great hair day, and your outfit's perfect, and you go out and everyone's being nice to you, and the weather's beautiful, and but sometimes it's like the weather's shit, and you're still having like the best day, and everywhere you go, people are amazing, and everything works out the way you want. I think certain things, certain events, certain people, certain music, certain weather, it has the ability to focus our consciousness for more than 17 seconds at a time. And then that creates a series of synchronicities, and we can either let it go there, or we can keep feeding it and feeding it and feeding it. And sometimes when you're having a bad day, you know, you lean right into that shit. And if somebody starts with you, you know, they start it, you finish it. And other days, the day is going so well, and you just like, you know, you don't want it to end, and you want to, let's go here next, or let's go do this, and you just keep it going, keep the party going. You can spiral those synchronicities up, or you can spiral those synchronicities down. But I think it starts with that 17 seconds of focused energy. And if you think about it, like on Twitter, there was this really popular thread recently about how people are like, you know, there's certain music I have to stop listening to because my life starts to reflect what I'm listening to. Well, yeah, because songs have the ability to really focus your consciousness, especially if you can relate to it, like a song like X Factor by Lauryn Hill. Who can't relate to X Factor? You know what I mean? But then you listen to it, and you know you see somebody in your head. You know you're focusing that light somewhere. Anyway, it's always the X Factor song is always like in some related to someone in your roster that was fine as fuck. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because otherwise he wouldn't be the X Factor. Otherwise he would just be a douchebag that you'd never talk to again. Anyway, not the point. This is what adrenaline does to me. So these synchronicities, right? They're based on you being able to focus your energy, focus your energy, focus your energy 17 seconds at a time. It doesn't sound like much, But if you have to focus on something, for example, that you don't think that you believe in, that you don't believe in, or that you don't think you're worthy of, it will be quite a task to focus for that long. But what if you could get into a flow? And now we bring it back to October. What if we could get into a flow starting as of the solar eclipse on the 2nd, where a new life can begin for you because you're detached from things. Like you can see the blueprint of the thing. You don't have to stick to the structure of the thing when you can see the blueprint, because you know the structure can be made and remade and remade. It doesn't matter. So your understanding deepens about yourself, and you have this solar eclipse in the South Node, okay? The South Node is in Libra. You have this solar eclipse, which is the South Node right now, and it's squaring Mars in Cancer. So if you have been exhausted, if you have been feeling like, I don't know what it is, I just want to eat, I want to sleep. Yes, she told me in the mid-August, like, be careful. She told me in mid-September, be careful, don't eat too much, don't stay active, whatever. But like, the ocean is bearing down on me with all its weight. Okay, so the solar eclipse comes in and says, all right, we're going to lean into this energy. We're not going to get back on our feet. We're going to have a really cozy fall. We're going to get into our like cozy sweaters, and we're going to, we're going to sit in the sun as much as possible. We're going to drink tea. We're going to drink hot chocolate. Hold on. And we're really going to let ourselves rest. The season is changing. We're not going to go into go mode. We're not going to go into party mode. Things are different. Mars is in Cancer. We have this square happen with the solar eclipse. And we're in a space of, you know what? I know my limits. I know how much energy I have. And right now I just want to be cozy and quiet. And this is not for me. Right now, this is not for me. So as you do this, as you get into this energy, you have a series of, things happen that you have these series of transits happening that create this grand water trine. And what they do, we'll go through this sign by sign, but what it does for you personally is it highlights a lot of your vulnerabilities and weaknesses. So it's a great idea to start resting on the 2nd and really allow yourself. By the 2nd, you're like, you know what? I can't fight this. I'm tired. I am hungry. I'm tired. I'm sleepy. I don't want to talk to anyone. When the tide pulls in, if you think Mars in Cancer is about like crazy waves crashing at you on the beach and trying to knock you down, no. No. Mars in Cancer is the fucking undertow, bro. Have you seen the undertow? It's terrifying. It's terrifying, and it's fast, and it kills people. Every year it kills more people than sharks. Like, when the ocean says, I'm going back, it takes everything, and the momentum with which it takes is like, Chi. Yeah, was I doing chi work? Have you seen that guy on TikTok who's like from far away? He's like, and then, and then the cow like falls down. Okay, all right. The one thing that you should do, remember, it is fall. You want to be cozy. You want to be, comfy. That's okay. But take your hot drink, take your whatever, and go outside. Go outside, go outside, go outside. Get a lot of fresh air. Drink a lot of water, and just take in the change of this light. It's important for your brain to see the light changing, to see the fall happening, to see the foliage changing. All of this benefits you just in terms of helping your rhythms reset for the coming season, okay? And if you're in Australia, New Zealand, same thing. Start going outside more, start acclimating yourself for spring, right? Things are about to get really warm. Okay, So now let's talk about this grand water trine, and then the rest of this stuff. Actually, we have a lot more to talk about. Hold up. Hold up. No, what's going on with my nails? Come on. Notebook, you're embarrassing me. Okay. Throughout October, yeah, we have a lot more here. Okay, let's keep going. So, grand water trine is Saturn in Pisces. The truth about our dreams. Are your dreams in any way viable? And the bigger question being, do you even care? Do you dream to keep yourself complacent and asleep, or do you dream because you want to achieve and you want to win and you want to be contented? It's hard questions. Mars in Cancer, the power of emotion. Again, the ability to pull you all the way in. Okay. Venus in Scorpio, the depth of our feeling. The limits or the lack of limits we have when it comes to how deeply we can feel something, and how that feeling really doesn't need to be at all rooted in anything real to be real. Doesn't matter if the emotion, the feeling is based on something real. It doesn't matter anymore. The depth of the feeling makes it real. It's like manifestation for Scorpios 101. Okay. Now, what this does, it comes together, of course, depending on your rising sign, this is going to affect you differently. But what it does for all of us is it highlights our vulnerabilities. So we want to get, you know me, I want to get in front of the wave. So if something is coming around to highlight and put a really bright light on your vulnerabilities, what should we be doing? We should be comfortable, we should be safe, we should be hydrated, we should be healthy. That's the things that I can think of. And we should also be very mindful of the people around us who are also acting like this undertow, people who would try to pull us in either with their problems, their lack of emotional regulation, their lack of financial discipline, whatever it is that they're lacking. If they are needy and if they really imbalance your power dynamic, it will be highlighted with Mars in Cancer. You will see it more clearly than you ever have, and it's more irritating than it's ever been. Perhaps for a long time you've just been like, okay, well, that person really does like to pull on me, or that person is so draining, or I don't really like, but I can deal with it. Now you can't. Now it's so you can see how profoundly unhealthy it is now. You know, because every little drain on your energy right now when you really need it, you just don't have it to give. You're like, no, I'm hibernating. I'm trying to personal development hibernate. Please stop. You're so annoying. Okay. So what's the goal then? How to shore up our vulnerabilities? You know, where do we install those non-permeable seawalls in Florida right now? Prayers for everybody in Florida right now. Prayers for everybody in Lebanon right now. Prayers for everybody in Gaza right now. In that, you know, in the hospitals in Florida, and at the site of the hospitals in Florida, they're using these sea wall things, like a thing that you can put up that's keeping all the water out, and it's just amazing to look at. I didn't even know that was possible, and apparently it's really expensive, but you know, really, really worth it. That's the sort of shoring up that we need to do. That tide is really formidable, and this grand water trine wants to help. And you know what water signs are like. God bless them. I'm a Cancer rising. I'm included in this. Like, we want to help, and the road to hell is paved with water signs, good intentions. We want to help so bad. We want to help so bad, and we think we know everything, and we think we know how to do it, and it's so great because we can feel you. You don't have to tell me I feel you. But like, It's never taken into account that the way that water signs want you to heal and change your life is going to require you to turn everything upside down. And of course, they don't understand this because they're water. So they're like, so what? What's up? What's down? What's sideways? Ooh, everything is, but if you're like a Taurus sun, Leo moon, you're like, what the fuck? Like, are you telling me to turn the earth around? Would you like me to start walking on my head? Like, what do you mean? So depending again on your rising and your sun, you're going to respond very differently to water sign help. Water signs trying to heal you, trying to better your life. And will you have water sign people in your life that have them in their big three? Will you have those people coming to you, embodying this energy, trying to help you? And you're like, you're just being mixy. They're not being mixy. They're really trying. They're mixy. They're always mixy, but they're trying to help. They're trying to help. So if you, like I said, come across relationships right now that like you just feel the pull like you never had before, I think it's also just Libra season, being very sensitive about the balance. Those scales are sensitive, as they should be. They're very precise. And if people really get in your energy and play with you and use you and then don't add back to your life, it's so painfully obvious right now that you don't feel like talking. You don't feel like explaining. You don't feel like having some negotiation or mediation about it. You understand what it is. You understand their lack of not just reciprocity, but there is a basic lack of goodness that you are picking up on, which we are prone to do in Libra season. There's a sense of righteousness to Libra. It's that justice energy that's like, this is wrong. It's Cardi being like, you could fuck my ops. I don't care. I blocked you, but I would never fuck your ops. Because I'm a gangster ass bitch. That's Libra energy. Like at its finest, actually. At its finest. So yeah. So we do have this more pronounced sense of righteousness that's it's not self-righteousness. It's really based in absolutes. Like, this is wrong, you shouldn't act this way, and even though you've done something wrong, I'm not going to go ahead and indulge in the same level of wrongness that you have, because that's off the books. You've gone beyond the pale. It's not that Libra doesn't manage and deal with things. They'll deal with things for a long time. And we have all dealt with things for a long time. But there are certain things that are beyond the pale. And now that we're in this season and Mercury in Libra is doing its thing, it's like, enough. This is too much. This will not be tolerated. And thank God for it. Because we really want to go into a restful, beautifying, peaceful, restorative winter with all the fucking castor oil and vitamins and everything that went in sunscreen that we need. We want to have a really healing winter. We want to understand these cycles. We want to work with the sunlight. We want to work with the season, with the food, everything. And it requires us to also mimic the nature that we are a part of, and rest in the same way and not push ourselves in the same way. So instead of revving up for another season of go get 'em, it's like, no, we're going to take this really easy until spring, because that's what's good. Because that's what's good for this, and that's what's good for this. So just, a more wholesome season than perhaps we've had in the past. But these transits aren't going to let you do anything else. A lot going on. Okay, let's keep going. So, can what I just described venture very easily into the territory of being unproductive, lazy, complacent? Of course it can. So how do you keep yourself motivated during those times? So one of the things that we can do is we can hold ourselves accountable through the people that we love and trust. We can hold ourselves accountable, like I said at the beginning, to a vision of something that we have that's important to us to complete. We can fight that lethargic push that hibernation can bring with it by getting really revved up inside about a project that we care about, something that we're genuinely enthusiastic about. It will actually give you enough energy to go do a job you hate, if that's what you're doing right now, because it's so fulfilling, because it gives you so much more than what you put in. Okay, so that's the way to really keep that lethargic push in check. And then on the 13th, we have Mercury moving into Scorpio, which will also help. On the 23rd, we have the Sun moving into Scorpio, which will also help. Both of these transits then giving you a clearer, feeling inside of like, yeah, I am really passionate about this. I do really care about this. I do really want this. Mercury in Scorpio makes you, talk to yourself very honestly, why won't you do this? Why aren't you working on this? Why do you think you're going to fail at this? What's wrong? You admit things to yourself in Mercury and Scorpio that you would never admit to anybody else, and that's okay. Have those conversations with yourself. The Sun moves into Scorpio. Scorpio Sun, Scorpio rising are some of the most motivated people, if not the most motivated people I've ever met in my life. And that energy, you're not going to be precluded from that. The Sun moves into Scorpio and you feel great about the quiet, diligent, calm work that you've been doing, because when you are rested, when you are well fed, when you have moved your body and breathed the fresh air and drank the clean water, you can sit down and do something without feeling pressured, without feeling pushed, without feeling imposed upon, and you can create something gorgeous, something long lasting. You can create something that you can be held accountable to from your friends, right? You can involve your friends in this, and I'm working on this thing and I should be done with this thing by this time, and you can even engage in creative projects with other people that feed you like you feed them. When they're being complacent, when you're being complacent, it's a way to create sunshine in this time where the light is getting dimmer. We can create our own light right now. And we do that by hanging out with each other. We do that by talking to each other. We do that. So fucking wasp. I say it's not a wasp. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Let's talk about the Mars Saturn trine. We were just talking about that. Why does it say it like that? Oh, okay. I just wrote it that way, but we're talking about the same thing. Never mind. Sorry. It's my note taking. So, what Mars and Saturn, what that aspect of the trine does for you is that it gives you an urgency to act. Saturn in Pisces says, if you really believe in this, then you owe it to yourself to take the right steps to do it properly so you can win. That gives you your trajectory. That gives you that springboard of be really organized, use your intuition because it's super heightened right now, and it's super heightened again according to these priorities that you have reset, which have to do with your security, with your safety, with success, because you want more security and safety. So your intuition is heightened in terms of sussing out the situation, the person, the event, the piece of clothing, the thing, the thought that comes into your head that leads to the text or the email, whatever it is. Your intuition is tuned in to that which is going to bring you security, safety, and abundance. Very noble pursuits here, okay? Especially because it's not just for you, it's for your family. Sorry, I keep looking up because it's trying to get out of the skylight. All right. Now, one of the other things that happens when Mercury moves into Scorpio is that we're asked that question of being satisfied. Are you satisfied? Have you been satisfied? How do you show your feelings? How do you show when you're unsatisfied? Who are you taking that out on? You know, Mercury and Scorpio can't help but express itself when it's unsatisfied, but often that gets turned into venom, you know, being hurled at other people because they don't know what to do with the fact that they're unsatisfied. It seems like this must be somebody's fault, right? So you want to ask yourself these questions. You want to get in front of this. You don't want this to be a discussion you end up having in an argument with someone, and that's the way it comes up, because it has to come up. Do you enjoy pleasure? Do you do things that are pleasurable to you? Do you engage in pleasurable activity? Do you even think about it? Do you feel like you're worthy of that? Is pleasure for you just providing pleasure for somebody else? Okay, so if you have, now think about this in terms of Mars being in Cancer, masculine energy in Cancer, very feminine energy, and then we have Venus, very feminine energy in this Scorpio energy, right? So it's like this. Okay. This thing needs oil. I think it's like WD-40, but I don't know what they call it in Denmark. Anyway, if you have an excessive attachment to people, if your attachment is disordered and it really triggers you, if you are possessive, if you are fearful in your attachments, if you get really anxious as soon as you're with someone, Mars in Cancer, Venus in Scorpio can make this a lot worse. So when I say, are you satisfied? Do you engage in pleasurable activity? Do you believe in pleasure? These are the questions that you should ask yourself before you end up in a situation with someone who just comes out of the blue and triggers every one of those possessiveness issues, attachment issues, fearful attachment issues, clinginess, and how do they do this? They externally come in and provide pleasure and satisfaction where you have been checked out, where you have not addressed that within yourself. And if you happen to be really missing somebody, or you feel like there's somebody out there that you should really be with, and you've been just like waiting for a sign, or, you know, I know it's going to happen. If it's meant to be, it'll happen. I know we're meant to be. Anything like that, if you're feeling that like that right now, Mars in Cancer, Venus in Scorpio is the kind of synergy that if you are meant to be together, it will pull that person to you. You will be pulled to them. That you don't have to do anything. Mutual attraction is its own consciousness, and it's attracted to itself, and it will pull itself together. And it really doesn't have anything to do with you. You put all the light into that situation that you needed to put into it. And this transit can turn that into something. If both people are there, are in that, you know, are within the parenthetical energy of that. So if you've been curious for a while, if, you know, someone that you thought got away or whatever it is, get curious about late October. It's a fun time for many reasons. And by the way, your Hollywood videos will be out in the third week of October, inshallah. All right. We have a lot more to look at. We have a lot more transits, but I fear that I've run out of notes. I'll be back. We'll do it in the signs. The rest of the signs, everything that we're doing, it's going to be on Patreon first, and then it'll be on YouTube. And there's a link for all that, and there's a link for personal readings that look like this. And lately people have been getting them as birthday gifts, and I guess gifts for the holidays coming up is probably a good idea, or that's what people have been telling me. All right, I love you. Happy October. Let's be nice to ourselves. create those synchronicities, spiral up as much as you can, and give yourself those 17 seconds throughout the day here and there to really check in and put your light where you want it to be. It's yours. Love you. I think it's a wasp. It's in the skylight.
It's fine. It'll fly out. Don't worry.
It's flying at my head. Oh my god.